Statements by member.
Okay. The Honourable Member for HoC. Mr. Speaker, as we celebrate Black History Month, I would like to highlight the incredible contribution of Black people to Canada, Quebec, and Montreal. As a native of Ivory Coast, from Lebanese parents, I keep within me the mark of the elephant. To be Black is not just a color. It means belonging to an identity that has been marked throughout history by challenges, injustices, and great accomplishments. Nelson Mandela, for example, was one of the exceptional Black people who has contributed so much to humanity. It's more than time that the government decree Nelson Mandela Day for Canada so that future generations will remember the remarkable role played by this incredible man. I would also like to highlight the incredible contributions of Black citizens of Ahuntsic-Cartierville, including the writer Denis Laferrière, whose grandmother's name now hangs over the Internet Cafe at the Maison de Culture Unique, Le Café d'Art.
Glengarry.
Mr. Speaker, I want to add my voice to those in Cornwall, in Canada, and around the world praising the actions of some of Cornwall's finest. They are Constables Kim Norman, Cody Castleman, Michelle Riel, Rodney DeGray, Casey McGregor, James Lamore, Sergeants Patrick Paquette, Dan Doyo, and George Kesnevic, as well as civilians Jody Sheard, José Lalone, Claire Denny, Jeanna Legault, and Tasha Marcotte. These individuals demonstrated how generous the Cornwall community is by raising money to help an elderly man buy back the wedding ring which he had pawned in order to buy groceries for himself and his wife. These compassionate, caring people saw a problem and took it upon themselves to correct it. They truly demonstrated what it means to be a Canadian. Mr. Speaker, it is constituents like these who make me so proud to serve as a Member of Parliament for Stormont, Dundas and South Glengarry. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Vancouver East.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to pay tribute to a very special teacher in Vancouver East. Vancouver Technical Secondary School teacher Mark Reed is in the running for the $1 million Varkey Gems Foundation Global Teacher Prize, given to an exceptional teacher who has made an outstanding contribution to the profession. Widely referred to as the Nobel Prize for Teaching, with nominees from more than 100 countries, Mr. Reed is in the top 50 and one of only 3 Canadians being considered for this prestigious award. The Global Teacher Prize was set up to shine a spotlight on educators and to recognize and celebrate the important role teachers play in our society. It brings to life the dedicated work that teachers do. To Mark Reed and all teachers whose hard work and caring motivation contributes every day towards nurturing and inspiring the young minds of tomorrow, I know Parliament extends its heartfelt thanks. Keep up the wonderful work.
Honourable Member for Moncton Riverview Dieppe. The Honourable Member for Moncton Riverview Dieppe.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to pay tribute to the lives of Reuben Cohen and Gilbert Finn, 2 prominent New Brunswickers who have recently passed away and who made great contributions to my riding and to the province of New Brunswick. Reuben Cohen was a lawyer, financier, philanthropist, born in Moncton, from Eastern European immigrants. Through his life, he supported the University of Moncton, my alma mater, amongst others, by enabling it to acquire a gallery of an important collection of Canadian art. Mr. Cohen also contributed to the expansion of the YMCA of Greater Moncton, and as Chancellor of Dalhousie University, he was instrumental in securing the funding for the first Canadian chair in Black Studies. Gilbert Finn
was an important member of the Acadian community. A champion of healthcare and education, he was one of the main advocates for the creation of the Dr. Georges L. Dumont University Hospital in Moncton. Mr. Finn also served in New Brunswick as Lieutenant Governor from 1987 to 1994 and was a former president of the University of Moncton.
Prayers, Mr. Speaker, go out to the friends and families of these 2 important gentlemen. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Ottawa South.
Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to rise in the House today to recognize an outstanding achievement by my constituent, Raphael Guévin-Nikoloff. He has recently completed a 2,000-kilometer bike ride from Buenos Aires to Tierra del Fuego in memory of his brother Simon, who suffered from depression and tragically took his own life 10 years ago. Through this impressive feat, Raphael has raised over $4,000 for the Canadian Mental Health Association. Mr. Speaker, 20% of Canadians will personally experience a mental illness in their lifetime. We all know that mental illness indirectly affects all Canadians through a family member, a friend, a neighbour or a colleague. I ask the House to join me in applauding Raphael's incredible determination in the face of such tragedy and encourage all Canadians to work together to continue to raise awareness about mental illness. Félicitations, Raphael.
The honourable member for Edmonton East.
Mr. Speaker, how a nation views itself is a measure of its pride and self-esteem. How a nation is viewed by the world is a reflection of its collective deeds. How a nation projects this image is through its national symbol, a flag. Our nation is known throughout the world for its deeds in war and peace. Canada's symbol is its flag, which floats supremely over this very House. Our flag is the embodiment of our nation's heart and soul. For 50 years, our flag's symbolism has been world-renowned, of a nation that serves mankind by supporting freedom, justice, and tolerance in the God-given belief that all mankind should share these virtues together in harmony. Canada's flag is not merely a symbol for our country, but is truly emblematic throughout the world as a symbol of hopefulness, as a symbol of the desire for peace, and as a symbol of our Canadian way.
The honourable member for Davenport.
Well, it's a privilege to rise in this place on behalf of the good people of Davenport in the great city of Toronto to honour a remarkable young woman from my riding. Mercy Justine Hildebrand began advocating for Canada's Millennium Development Goals when she was just 8 years old. And with her mother Sarah's help, she formed a group called Millennium Kids, made up of children who were all born in the year 2000, the same year that Canada, along with the global community, committed to the UN Millennium Development Goals by 2015. She's now 14, and yesterday she was in New York participating in the United Nations Economic and Social Council Youth Forum on Youth Engagement in the transition from Millennium Development Goals to Sustainable Development Goals. Mercy Justine is part of a new generation of young people in our country who believe that Canada must play an active part in the global struggle to eradicate poverty, hunger, gender inequality, and preventable disease. I'm very proud to stand here as her Member of Parliament to say thank you to Mercy Justine Hildebrand for your passion, your commitment, and most importantly, your leadership. Thank you.
The honourable member for Mississauga East, Cooksville.
Mr. Speaker, I was honored to be part of the official Canadian delegation to Poland for the 70th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau, German Nazi concentration and extermination camp. More than 1 million people were murdered there between 1940 and 1945. At the commemoration, we listened to the testimony of 3 survivors. Halina Birnbaum, who grew up in a Warsaw ghetto and was imprisoned in Auschwitz. Kazimierz Albin, one of the first prisoners at Auschwitz at age 18. He would later escape and join the resistance. And Roman Kent, who issued a strong plea to world leaders that I would like to relay back to this House. He said, and I'll quote, "We survivors do not want our past to be our children's future." I would ask my fellow parliamentarians to remember Mr. Kent's words. We must all work together to protect innocent people here and around the world. We should never sit on the sidelines when we face evil, oppression, hatred, and injustice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Fleetwood Port Hills.
Mr. Speaker, this week marks the 9th anniversary of our Conservative government, during which time we have provided real results to Canadians. We have cut taxes more than 160 times, reducing the federal tax burden to its lowest level in 50 years and saving the average family $3,400. Support for families with children, including the Universal Child Care Benefit, the Child Tax Credit, and the Children's Fitness Tax Credit. $2.8 billion for seniors and pensioners in annual tax relief. $5.8 billion this year for BC Healthcare and Social Services. We have concluded free trade agreements with 38 countries, invested in public infrastructure and transportation, and we have passed tough on crime reforms, cracking down on gun and gang crime and violent and repeat offenders. Mr. Speaker, our Conservative government is making positive changes that are improving the lives of my constituents, British Columbians, and all Canadians. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Newton, North Delta.
Mr. Speaker, today Dignity for All released its National Anti-Poverty Plan for Canada. Mr. Speaker, as you may well know, poverty affects 1 in 7 Canadians. 1 in 7, Mr. Speaker. In a prosperous country like ours, the government must take action to address this startling number. Too many people are facing income insecurity. Too many people are working full-time jobs and are still not able to make ends meet. No one should be forced to play eeny, meeny, miny, moe with their bills and their medication. Mr. Speaker, what we need to help individuals and families grow and thrive are more full-time jobs, well-paying jobs, a strong public health care system, an enhanced federal minimum wage, and national early childhood education program. We need an economy that works for all Canadians. Solving poverty requires a commitment to human dignity and justice. From the bottom of my heart, I wish to thank all those who participated in assembling the National Anti-Poverty Plan released this morning.
The Honourable Member for Lobinière, Chute de la Chaudière. Mr. Speaker, this week is the 25th Annual National Suicide Prevention Week in Quebec. This year's theme is You're Important to Us. Suicide is not an option. Suicide affects people of all ages, including our young people, and this cause is particularly close to my heart as a father and a parliamentarian. Many factors can lead a person in distress to feel like their problems are too great for any solution. I invite everyone in my riding and everyone in Quebec to join in the movement and tell your loved ones you're important to us. Suicide must never be an option. Talk about your problems. Never keep them to yourselves. That's why members of the Quebec Suicide Prevention Association have been listening since 1986. Thank you to all those working in our regions. If you're concerned about someone close to you, don't hesitate. Act now. Call the hotline 1-866-277-3553. The Honourable Member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take a moment to highlight the 20th Annual Neige en Fête Festival, which is happening from February 12th to 15th in Saint-Raymond in my riding of Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Neige en Fête is the largest annual gathering of half-tracks and snowmobiles in Quebec. Every year, hundreds of enthusiasts from across the country and even from the U.S. come to Saint-Raymond to discover these typically Canadian antique snow machines. In the past, snowmobiles and snow machines were the main means of transportation during our hard winters, and they remain an important part of our heritage. Today, the snowmobile has a special place in the hearts of Quebecers, and it has an important role to play as an economic driver for our regions. I would like to congratulate and thank Mr. Denis Tremblay, President of the Organizing Committee, and his team, as well as all the volunteers who make the festival a success every year. I invite everyone and all of my colleagues to come to Neige en Fête in Saint-Raymond and admire these beautiful antiques, witnesses to our past and the ingenuity of our people. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Red Deer.
Mr. Speaker, last week, the Liberal member for York West said that if ISIL attacks Canada, it's because our Prime Minister put us in that position. Mr. Speaker, I speak for everyone on this side of the House when I say that these comments are shameful. Jihadist terrorism is not a future possibility, it is a present reality. Violent jihadists oppose everything about our society and our values. They hate pluralism, tolerance, and the freedom of others. The Liberal leader refused to condemn his colleagues' comments, which is yet another sign that he's simply not in a position to lead a country. Jihadi terrorists aim to destroy the kind of open, diverse, and free society that Canadians have chosen. We, as Canadians, will not let that happen, which is why we have joined our allies in combating the threat of terrorism, both at home and abroad. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Laurent-Cartierville. Mr. Speaker, one of the main challenges of the 21st century is shifting from current self-destructive development to true sustainable development that reconciles people and our planet. This global fight must be fought in every country and in every community.
That's why I rise today as member of Saint-Laurent-Cartierville to applaud the borough of Saint-Laurent, proud winner of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Sustainable Community Award.
With this prize, the FCM recognizes the efforts made by Saint-Laurent in the areas of public transit and LEED-certified office construction.
This award speaks to Saint-Laurent's outstanding achievements in urban development and bodes well for a promising future. I thank the Federation of Canadian Municipalities for its recognition of Saint-Laurent's ambitious vision for its residents and look forward to continue working with the people of Saint-Laurent to make the borough an even greener and better place to live in. Félicitations, Saint-Laurent.
Congratulations, Saint-Laurent.
The honourable member for Desnecke, Mississippi, Churchill River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thanks to our government, Canadian families can be assured that their hard-earned money is making its way back to their bank accounts. Our plan is simple as we stand by it. We trust parents to invest in their children and spend their money as they see fit. Soon, families in my riding of Desnecke, Mississippi, Churchill River will receive almost $2,000 annually per child under the age of 6, and $720 for youth aged 6 to 17. The NDP and the Liberals, on the other hand, want to take this money away and spend it on big government bureaucracy instead. They would take this money away from families and tax hikes. Mr. Speaker, despite the opposition and third-party Liberals who have positioned themselves against middle-class families, I am proud that our government is giving money back to each and every family with children in Canada.
The honourable member for Rosemont-La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, not so long ago, the Conservatives claimed that the economy was their priority. The development of the oil economy was able to hide for a certain amount of time their incompetence and their inability to diversify our economy. But now that the price of oil has plummeted, we're seeing that the emperor has no clothes. They want us to forget the 200,000 Canadians who are unemployed, 200,000 more than before the recession, and that 400,000 good manufacturing jobs have been lost over the last 10 years. And I have good news for the Conservatives. Canadian families aren't fools. They know who's responsible for the current economic downturn. But there is hope. Families know that they can count on the NDP of Tom Mulcair to propose concrete solutions to help people make ends meet. Whether it be daycare, a rise in the minimum wage, or a plan to create jobs in small businesses, the NDP has a dynamic team, a solid leader, a principled, experienced man who will replace the Conservatives this year.
Just to remind the honourable member that we refer to each other by titles or ridings, but not by proper names. The honourable member for Ancaster, Dundas, Flamborough, Westdale.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to rise and pay tribute to one of Canada's great veterans in Flamborough, a community within the riding I represent. His name is Al Wilson. Al was a member of Canada's legendary elite Special Forces unit, the Devil's Brigade in World War II, which conducted covert missions behind enemy lines. Al would be in Washington today with his family and some fellow soldiers receiving the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award bestowed by the U.S. Congress for his service in the Devil's Brigade. However, just yesterday morning, Al passed away at the age of 90. Though a humble man, the legacy of his life and the missions he and the Devil's Brigade members did to secure the peace and freedom we enjoy today during World War II will never be forgotten. Our hearts go to Madge, Al's wife of 69 years, and his family, lest we forget.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, retail is a good indicator of the strength of the economy. Since the beginning of the year, the number of closures and job losses have multiplied. Target, 17,000 jobs lost in 133 communities across Canada. When jobs are in crisis, where is the Prime Minister's plan? Where's the budget? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I just announced many recent economic initiatives with our action plan to create jobs, reduce taxes. We will continue despite the shakiness of the global economy, but this is not the time to implement NDP policies because the Canadian Federation of Independent Business described the NDP's plan as dumb and anti-business. The Honourable Leader.
Kelly, the head of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Good on the NDP leader for proposing a cut in the small business corporate tax rate. Quote from last week. I don't know who the Prime Minister speaks to at the CFIB, but Dan Kelly speaks for the CFIB. What we're seeing is a loss of jobs that reflects the failure of this government to protect the middle class. All those job losses, tens of thousands in the retail sector, are a representation of their failures. They only have a plan to help the richest 15%. What about the middle class? What about the other 85%?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, speaking of Mr. Kelly, of course, he complimented the fact that the government has already cut small business taxes, something the NDP actually opposed. So, Mr. Speaker, it's not surprising he would compliment the NDP when it actually embraces conservative policy after the fact. But what he did say about the NDP's unique policies is that they were stupid, dumb, and anti-small business. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are cutting taxes for 100% of Canadian families, and they would raise taxes for 100%.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Good on the NDP leader for proposing a cut in the small business corporate tax rate because the Conservatives have never done it, Mr. Speaker. You know, last Friday I was in a Legion Hall in Sudbury, and a woman there said to me that she always thought that in her lifetime things would get better, but actually things are getting worse, and that's borne out by the statistics. Under this government, the middle class is doing less well than it used to, precisely because of their wrong-headed policies. Instead of helping the rich, you should help the middle class. Where's the plan? Where's the budget?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this government reduced the small business tax rate, and the NDP voted against it. This government made more businesses eligible for the small business tax rate, and the NDP voted against it, which is why, Mr. Speaker, the CFIB calls the leader of the NDP's policies dumb and anti-small business. Mr. Speaker, the reality is this. We have, notwithstanding the challenges of the world around us, created 1.2 million net new jobs. Even the New York Times says we have the most prosperous middle class in the world, and everybody knows, Mr. Speaker, that all the NDP wants to do with the economic crisis is use it as an excuse to raise taxes on the middle class.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister neglected to say that the jobs he boasts about are part-time jobs, risky or unstable jobs, temporary jobs, but the 400,000 good manufacturing jobs that they killed by putting all our eggs in the extracting basket will not come back because there's no plan. If they believe in good jobs for the middle class, when are they going to come up with a budget? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. The figures are clear. Our economy has created 1.2 million jobs since the recession, most of them full-time in the private sector, well paid. The statistics are quite compelling on that. We are for tax cuts and job creation on this side of the House, and we oppose the NDP plan to increase taxes and kill Canadian jobs.
So we put forward a concrete plan to help the manufacturing sector, especially with an innovation tax credit. Prime Minister stands there with his arms folded, doing nothing. The NDP's proposed tax cuts to help small businesses create jobs. They create 80% of the jobs in Canada. He gave $50 billion to large corporations for no reason whatsoever. It produced nothing except a windfall for those corporations who are sitting on dead money. So the Conservatives are taking Canada in the wrong direction, and what Canadians want to know is, when's there going to be help for the middle class? When are we going to see a budget?
The right honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let me just talk about some of the recent things that I've announced. The new programs for small business financing, expansion of those programs, something this party supported, something the NDP voted against. I announced record new investments in federal infrastructure to end the federal infrastructure investment over the long term. NDP opposed to that. We introduced new measures for apprentices to make sure apprentices are trained for the jobs that are available. NDP voted against that, Mr. Speaker. All the NDP does is sit there with their arms crossed, demanding high debt, high tax policies. We're never going to embrace those.
The honourable member for Papineau.
Mr. Speaker, last week we learned that our economy began to shrink in November, back when oil prices were at $75. The Bank of Canada recently said that middle-class families in Western Canada face falling home prices and job losses. Why is the government giving a $2 billion tax break to those who don't need it, the wealthy, and nothing to those who actually do need it?
The right honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is doing is bringing in tax reductions and benefits for every single Canadian family. Expansion of the universal child care benefits so that we not only raise the amount of money we give for those with children under 6, but we give benefits all the way up to the age of 17. Expansion, Mr. Speaker, of the children's fitness tax credit. More deductions for expense costs that families incur. And, Mr. Speaker, of course, the family tax cut to ensure that one-income families are treated fairly under the tax system. We know the Liberal Party wants to raise those taxes on 100% of those Canadian families. We're going to cut taxes.
The honourable member for Papineau.
Mr. Speaker, the government slashed the infrastructure budget by 90%, right when the middle class needs investment and better jobs. The Prime Minister insists on giving a tax break to the wealthiest. His priorities are wrong. Investment in infrastructure, which the provinces are calling for, will help all Canadians, but the Prime Minister only wants to help the 15% of the wealthiest. Why is that? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Our policy is tax cuts for 100% of Canadian families and an increase in the universal child care benefit for all families. These policies are policies that the Liberals have opposed for a long time. They want to raise taxes on Canadian families. That's quite the opposite of our policy.
Mr. Speaker, in the years following 9/11, the current Justice Minister said parliamentarians could provide a credible and independent check and balance to oversee our national security agencies and the power of the state. So why has the government left parliamentary oversight out of its current anti-terror bill?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we already have a rigorous system of oversight on our national security and police agencies, specifically on intelligence. We have the Security Intelligence Review Committee, which is a robust mechanism, independent, expert, third-party oversight, Mr. Speaker. It functions very well. We're proud of the work they're doing, Mr. Speaker. What we have to tackle now, Mr. Speaker, is making sure our police and security agencies have the power necessary to tackle terrorism and violent jihadism, and that's what we're doing.
The Honourable Member for Alfred Pellan. The new security bill does nothing to solve the problem of resources. Currently, CSIS is unable to monitor everyone who's been identified as a potential threat. Officials are already overwhelmed with the number of files on high-risk travelers. How does the minister expect these new powers to be useful when CSIS can't even cope with its current workload? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, 7 times here in the House, we have increased the budget for CSIS and the RCMP. And 7 times the opposition parties have opposed that. But today, Mr. Speaker, with our increases of about 1/3 of CSIS's budget, that's over $200 million more that CSIS will be able to use to protect Canadians. And they need tools, but even yesterday, the opposition opposed that. The Honourable Member. Obviously, you can't increase the powers of CSIS without at the same time increasing the powers of the civilian watchdog. But instead of doing that, the Conservatives are reducing the oversight powers. Why refuse to increase civilian oversight now when it's more needed than ever? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, Canada is at war with terrorists, with jihadis, and in order to do that, we have CSIS. We see freedom and safety as going hand in hand, and we have a great model here in Canada for civilian oversight. They have my full confidence and the confidence of Canadians. Thank you.
Member for Victoria.
Well, way back in 2005, even the Minister of Justice thought more oversight of CSIS was a good idea. Here's what he said, and I quote, "It would cause a little bit more diligence on the part of the security agents themselves, just knowing that this oversight body was in place." Well, Mr. Speaker, oversight helps prevent abuses. It makes sense, right? But instead of making good on these words, the Conservatives have actually cut CSIS oversight. So a simple question. Does the Minister of Justice still believe more oversight would help prevent these abuses?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the international jihadist movement has declared war on Canada, Mr. Speaker, and we believe that third-party, non-partisan, independent, expert oversight of our national security agencies is a much better model than political intervention in the process, Mr. Speaker. And also, key powers of the new legislation are subject to judicial review and judicial authorization, Mr. Speaker. It's much more than the empty talk of the NDP who have opposed measures against terrorism yesterday, Mr. Speaker.
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Victoria.
I guess accountability sounded just fine to the Conservatives until they had to start actually being accountable. But one thing is very clear. Much more needs to be done to stop radicalization on the ground in Canadian communities. Canadians all across the country, in community centres and, yes, in mosques, are doing this work already. And they're trying to get the federal government to help. These groups are our best allies in ensuring hatred and violence are rejected in Canada. So why have the Conservatives failed to reach out and support them?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
It looks, Mr. Speaker, like it's a wake-up call for the NDP, Mr. Speaker. More than a year ago, this government has introduced the Combating Terrorism Act with our strategy, Mr. Speaker, our counter-terrorism strategy that has 4 pillars, Mr. Speaker. The first pillar, prevention. What did the NDP? They opposed all the measures we put forward to fight terrorism, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East, Stoney Creek.
Mr. Speaker, as of today, Mohamed Fahmy, the award-winning Canadian journalist, has spent 402 days detained by Egyptian authorities. He was in prison because he was doing his job as a journalist. His friend, Australian colleague Peter Just, was released over the weekend. Can the Minister of Foreign Affairs please inform the House as to the status of the release of Mr. Fahmy?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Both the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs and Consular have raised this issue regarding Mr. Fahmy's case with our counterparts, and I can tell you that this has been raised at all levels of our government. We welcome positive developments and we remain hopeful that Mr. Fahmy's case will be resolved shortly.
The Honourable Member for Ottawa Centre.
Mr. Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and first I'd like to thank him to taking on this role, and we'll look forward to working with him. Mr. Speaker, while the conflict between Ukraine and Russia escalates, key members of Russia's business and political elite are still not on Canada's sanctions list, despite the fact our allies do list them. I have a simple question to the Minister. Why are Igor Sechin, Sergei Shemazov, and Vladimir Yukinin not on Canada's sanction list when they're on the sanctions list of both the United States and the UK? Why aren't they not on our list?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, Canada has one of the strongest sanctions regimes in the world, which has been coordinated with our allies to target key individuals and entities and to isolate Russia politically and economically. Russia's ongoing campaign of aggression against Ukraine is disgraceful. It continues to show shocking willingness to sacrifice civilian lives to achieve its illegitimate goals. We call on Russia to immediately respect a ceasefire, to immediately end its support of these proxies and allow peace to return to eastern Ukraine.
Member for Ottawa Centre. Well, the fact remains, Mr. Speaker, Canada's sanctions simply do not match up with our allies. These three friends of Putin are being protected by this government. It's strange. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, Canada is also offside with every single one of our allies when it comes to the Arms Trade Treaty. 130 countries have signed this treaty. Every single member of NATO, Israel, Ukraine have all signed this treaty, but not Canada. Why are the Conservatives keeping company with countries like North Korea, Syria, and Iran when it comes to opposing the Arms Trade Treaty? Why are they keeping company with them?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Signing the Arms Trade Treaty will not improve on how Canada assesses exports of military items. We already have one of the strongest export control systems in the world. The ATT actually brings other countries up to the standards that we already have. And there are some concerns about how this treaty affects lawful and responsible firearms owners. As such, we continue to consult various stakeholders and experts on their views.
The Honourable Member for Laurier St. Marie. Mr. Speaker, the whole world sees the need to prevent weapons from falling into the hands of those who would commit war crimes, human rights violations, or organized crime. But apparently not Canada. When are we finally going to sign the Arms Trade Treaty? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
As I said, Canada has some of the strongest export controls in the world. That includes the Export and Import Permits Act and the Automatic Firearms Country Control List. And in addition to that, we rigorously assess all exports of military goods and technology on a case-by-case basis. And we believe that the ATT actually brings other countries up to our standards. We will continue to maintain some of the highest standards in the world on these issues.
The Honourable Member for Laurier St. Marie. Mr. Speaker, Canada could do so much more to send Russia a clear message. The government claims it wants to coordinate with the U.S., but it hasn't really walked the talk. For some strange reason, certain oil barons with business ties to Canada aren't on our sanctions list. What's the use of Canadian sanctions if we spare individuals and businesses that could actually have an impact? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, I already addressed the issue of the sanctions, but I can tell you Canada has been a leader. Everyone knows that. We've been a leader in the global response to Russian aggression in the Ukraine, and we have been one of the Ukraine's strongest supporters. I can go through a whole list of things that we've done. We've provided over $515 million in assistance to Ukraine just in the last year. We placed sanctions against over 210 individuals and entities. That's more than our U.S. and our EU allies. We've confirmed Ukraine as a development country of focus and as a profile country under our Global Markets Action Plan. We've contributed hundreds of observers to help monitor democratic Ukrainian elections. We've provided funds and technical advisor to them. We will continue to work with the Ukraine.
The Honourable Member for Trinity Spadina. Mr. Speaker, this government has spent $29 million on billboards to advertise new infrastructure spending. Mr. Speaker, you can't sleep under a billboard, you can't get drinking water from a billboard, you can't ride a billboard to get to work, and make really bad bridges if you're trying to cross a river. To put this in perspective, $29 million on billboards is more money than this government spending on infrastructure, new infrastructure in Prince Edward Island, one whole province. This is ridiculous. It's unsustainable. Instead of building a strong Canada, this government buys billboards. When will the minister cut this advertising budget and spend the money on cities and towns across Canada and build a better Canada for all of us? And the Honourable Minister of Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, our government has introduced the largest and longest infrastructure plan in the Canadian history with $75 billion, Mr. Speaker. This Prime Minister recently announced new investment funding to deal with federal infrastructure. We encourage provinces to do the same in regards to their infrastructure and will respect our partners and competence and jurisdiction.
5% of this money is postponed after 2019.
That's right.
Monsieur le Président, on abolit...
Mr. Speaker, by scrapping the long-form census, the Conservatives have made official statistics so unreliable it's affecting the economy and good governance. This, according to Stats Quebec. Undercounting underprivileged families, poor assessment of income. The situation is so bad, according to Stats Quebec, that decisions are being made blindly. Why have the Conservatives attacked Stats Can? Why have they done something so ideological, harmful, and stupid? The Honourable Minister, that's not the case at all, Mr. Speaker. In 2011 and again in 2016, we will have quality statistics which will enable governments all across the country to make good decisions. We'll have high-quality information on all of Canada. The Honourable Member for Cartierville. I don't think the Minister even believes what he's saying, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister deny the preposterous rumor that he would reject the Caisse de dépôt as a partner in the consortium to bid on the Champlain Bridge renewal? The Quebec government wants the Caisse to be a major partner. Does the Prime Minister see it as a pariah? Or does he think the Conservatives' toll will obviate the need for the involvement of a leading Quebec institution? Has the Prime Minister gotten that out of touch? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we are proud of the progress we're making on the new Champlain Bridge file. It's a process that's been transparent from the outset. 6 consortia have bid. A completely independent body chose those that will be the successful bidders. There were architectural firms and other businesses invited to participate. We're going to work together. We're going to deliver a bridge. The Liberals would have taken a lot longer to get this done.
Mr. Speaker, the new Minister of Veterans Affairs has an interesting idea of transparency. It seems to involve posting blurry photos of anticipated reports on Twitter. Now, I don't know any World War II veterans who use Twitter, or any veterans who like staring at a computer screen to try to make out tiny text. But perhaps the minister could be transparent. Tell us how he's progressing in reopening the closed Veterans Affairs offices like the one in Thunder Bay, and if the Conservatives will be stopping their $700,000 lawsuit against veterans.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the question, but he's criticizing the member for having direct contact with veterans, exactly what we want the minister to do. Mr. Speaker, the committee also asked the minister to report to them on the 30th of January, which is exactly what he did. He's asked what kind of progress we've made, Mr. Speaker. I have examples here. One of the recommendations of the committee was to increase research on mental health, and last November, our government announced new funding to support further research for mental health on veterans, Mr. Speaker. There was another recommendation to extend psychological counselling to the families of veterans, Mr. Speaker. In December, we have extended the number of psychological counselling sessions available to family members of veterans. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Châteauguay-Saint-Constant. Our veterans deserve better. They deserve better than a graph posted on Twitter in a cavalier fashion as a departmental response to recommendations from the Standing Committee. Our veterans were expecting concrete measures. But once again, they were disappointed. New minister, same disappointment. What's the minister waiting for to announce concrete commitments that will finally help veterans in need? Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Talking about concrete measures, let's talk about the 9 new offices that this government is opening under the leadership of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Veteran Affairs. Mr. Speaker, we're talking about 9 clinics that are going to be focused on mental health. For example, there'll be one in Halifax, St. John's, Chicoutimi, Pembroke, Brockville,
Kelowna, Victoria, Montreal, and just last Friday, Mr. Speaker, the Minister was in Hamilton announcing a new clinic in Hamilton. Mr. Speaker, these are real results delivered to our veterans to support them in mental health issues. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Parkdale High Park.
Another bad decision by the Conservatives was to eliminate the long-form census, a decision that's hurting the municipalities and the provinces that lack the information they need to plan for their development. As Statistics Canada plans for the next census, it would be time for the Conservatives to admit their mistakes and re-establish and reinstate the long-form sentence. Will they do that? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, like in 2011, Statistics Canada will have the funding necessary and they will have what they need to have access to information, the crucial information for the Government of Canada and for all governments across the country, to have quality information so that we can do our jobs.
The honourable member for Parkdale High Park.
Well, quality information. The Conservatives' decision to cancel the mandatory long-form census was cynical and irresponsible. And they're refusing to bring it back out of sheer stubbornness.
That's right.
Policymakers, business leaders, city planners, health officials, they're all warning that they don't have the detailed census data they need to do their jobs.
Right.
They need the facts, Mr. Speaker. What could the minister possibly have against evidence-based policy?
Yeah, really.
The honourable Minister of Industry.
Mr. Speaker, the census in 2016 will yield quality data for the Government of Canada, for all levels of government, for the private sector, for researchers, to make sure that they do have quality data from across this country for planning, for city planning, for Government of Canada planning moving forward. We received quality data out of the last census. We will have quality data out of the coming census. And if Madam colleague has any doubts about that, I certainly invite her to invite Wayne Smith, the CEO of Stats Canada, to come to Industry Committee and spell out to her yet again why Stats Canada has the money and has the process necessary to do a quality census for all Canadians.
The honourable member for Kildonan St. Paul.
Mr. Speaker, the activities around prostitution are illegal because they're harmful for vulnerable individuals and all of society. On December 6th, our government's response to the Bedford decision, the Protection of Communities and Exploited Persons Act, came into force. Can the Minister of Justice update the House on the impact it is having on prostitution in Canada?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Firstly, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member from Kildonan St. Paul, a true champion for women. This law, Mr. Speaker, is having a direct impact on prostitution in Canada. Hamilton Police recently rescued a missing 15-year-old girl from exploitation as a prostitute. Her pimp was charged twice under this new law. Durham Region's Human Trafficking Unit rescued a 16-year-old, and her pimp is now facing charges as well. Charges not previously available. We're proud of this impact of the new law. Congratulate our law enforcement members everywhere who are working hard each and every day to keep our communities and streets safe.
The honourable member for London Fanshawe.
Mr. Speaker, according to a recent report from Laval University, the Conservatives' decision to make seniors wait 2 more years for OAS will significantly increase poverty. The poverty rate among Canadians aged 65 and 66 will go from 6% to 17%. As Canadians, we can't allow this travesty. Our seniors deserve to live in dignity instead of struggling to survive. Why are the Conservatives cynically allowing poverty to increase among seniors?
The Honourable Minister of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, when it comes to seniors' poverty, our government has a record we can be proud of. Canada has one of the lowest seniors' poverty rates in the world, thanks in part to our actions, which include removing hundreds of thousands of seniors from the tax rolls completely, making significant investment in affordable housing for low-income seniors, and introducing the largest GIS increase in a quarter century. Mr. Speaker, we won't impose a carbon tax on seniors like the NPT, the NDP, or remove pension income splitting, as the Liberals committed to. Canadians know that they can count on our government to deliver for seniors.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Lambert. Mr. Speaker, by increasing retirement age from 65 to 67, the Conservatives will double the number of low-income people. Like the NDP, many organizations, such as the Canadian Medical Association and the Canadian Nursing Association, are calling for the implementation of a Canadian strategy to improve the health and economic conditions of our seniors. Will the Conservative government support our seniors instead of making them even more vulnerable? The Honourable Minister.
Canada's low-income rate for seniors has fallen from 29% in 1976 to 5.2% in 2011, the most recent year for which data is available. This is one of the lowest rates in the industrialized world, and I just mentioned the list of things we've done for seniors. We are proud of the contributions our government has made for seniors, and we're going to continue to stand up for the priorities that matter to them.
The Honourable Member for Brossard-Prairie. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister categorically opposed the participation of the Caisse de dépôt in replacing the Champlain Bridge. According to Le Devoir, the minister allegedly invoked the Charbonneau Commission and the allegiance of the Quebec government in refusing to deal with the Quebec Savings Group. My question is simple, Mr. Speaker. Can the minister tell us if the facts as reported are true or not? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the preamble to the question is completely false. Completely false. I had the pleasure of attending that meeting, Mr. Speaker. The Caisse de dépôt, like the other organizations, that could have participated in a consortium that applied for building the bridge, and that is what we would have liked. Currently, we are analyzing the analysis of work over several months. There were 6 consortiums, 3 were chosen, and it was the choice of those organizations to belong to the consortium. The Honourable Member for Brossard-Prairie. Now, in addition to wanting to change the name on the bridge and slap a toll on it that everyone's criticizing, we've discovered that the Conservatives are taking action behind the backs of Quebecers by sidelining the Caisse de dépôt. Are these behind-the-scenes games conducted by the Prime Minister against Quebecers' interests something that they are simply focusing on? What happened to the open and transparent process? What's clear from the beginning, Mr. Speaker, is the misinformation by this party, Mr. Speaker, in addition to the comments made by that member. I said it was false in the previous question, and he's reaffirmed in a second question that's not the way it happened, Mr. Speaker. We are going to be delivering a bridge within the time frame. We announced a PPP bridge with a toll for public transportation as well, and we're keeping to what we have said we would do.
Mr. Speaker, Canada continues to struggle with helping its most vulnerable citizens. The Dignity for All campaign estimates there are 4.8 million Canadians who can't make ends meet, and there are 250,000 homeless Canadians with shelters bursting at the seams. Instead of tackling poverty, this government is spending $2 billion every year on income splitting so that the wealthiest can get thousands in tax breaks. Will the Conservatives abandon their reckless income-splitting plan and instead invest in fighting poverty?
The Honourable Minister of State.
Well, in fact, Mr. Speaker, our plan to not only decrease taxes but increase benefits for all Canadians will help proportionally those who are in middle to lower income the most. Mr. Speaker, what our plan will do will put money directly into the pockets of the people who need it the most. What we know the Liberals would do would be create a huge bureaucracy, increase taxes on Canadians, on 100% of all Canadian families. Mr. Speaker, we're not going to do that. We believe that families are best served when they have money in their pockets. In fact, UNICEF, the president of UNICEF, said that it's our universal child care benefit that has directly helped reduce poverty for children in Canada. We'll keep doing that, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for St. Paul's.
Today, Dignity for All highlighted the shocking extent of hunger in Canada, especially amongst Aboriginal peoples and Northerners. Food bank usage is up 25% since 2008. 70% of people in Nunavut are struggling to feed themselves. Canadians were horrified that the government response to Northerners scavenging for food at the dump was to deny the problem instead of fixing it. Why is the government spending $2 billion a year income splitting our wealthiest families instead of dealing with urgent issues like hunger?
The Honourable Minister of Aboriginal Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said many times, since Nutrition North has been put in place, we have seen benefits. We have seen Northerners benefit from the program. As a matter of fact, the nutritious perishable food has the transportation has gone up by 25%. The cost to a family of 4 has gone down by $110 a month, and this is significant. In addition, we have already indicated to the House and all members and to Northerners that we accepted the recommendations of the Auditor General, and in the next few weeks and months we are going to keep consulting with Northerners to improve the program.
The Honourable Member for La Pointe de Lille. All of the reports and experts are saying that the Conservative government must do more to prevent a new rail tragedy. The riding of La Pointe de Lille is a hub for the transportation of dangerous goods, and people are really not reassured given the government's slow pace of action. Can the Minister ensure us that Transport Canada has enough inspectors to verify the compliance measures for railway companies travelling through La Pointe de Lille? The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the safety and security of Canadians is Transport Canada's top priority, and that's why they have been taking strong action with respect to these matters. Particularly, they have hired more inspectors. If you take a look at websites in Canada, you can see that there are many positions out there that they're seeking to fill right now, and we encourage people who are interested in that line of work to indeed take it up. That being said as well, Mr. Speaker, our government has invested heavily as well, too, $100 million into rail safety. We take this commitment very seriously, and we will continue to work on the matter.
The Honourable Member for Sherbrooke. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to abandoning our veterans, the Conservatives are abandoning our military heritage as well. 2 armories in Sherbrooke are crumbling. The health and safety of employees working there are threatened. Now, for far too long, the problem has been something people have known about at D&D, but they've been dragging their feet. Will the government take action, or will it continue to jeopardize the safety of our military people working there and civilians? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, we're proud to participate in rehabilitating these armories, including the one in Sherbrooke, and we are consulting, looking at the site, and we'll report the progress back to the House shortly.
For Wild Rose.
Mr. Speaker, today the world is reacting with shock and outrage at a new video released by ISIL. This video is further proof that these jihadi terrorists have declared war on our values and on our way of life. Can the Minister of National Defence please speak to this matter?
Honourable Minister of National Defence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The video released by ISIL is horrific and barbaric. The international jihadist movement has declared war on Canada and our allies. Left unchecked, these ISIL terrorists are a threat not just to the region but to Canadians as well. This is why Canada is joining our allies in the international campaign against ISIL terrorists. We will never back down or shirk our responsibilities when it comes to protecting Canada and Canadians.
The Honourable Member for Sydney Victoria.
Mr. Speaker, dairy farmers produce some of the highest quality milk that is the basis for many of the great products we enjoy. The supply management system has kept this industry stable for farmers and for consumers.
Right on.
Is the Trade Minister planning on scrapping any part of the supply management system in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement?
Good question. Yeah.
Honourable Minister of International Trade.
Well, I thank the member for that question, Mr. Speaker. I can assure the member we've made a very clear commitment to support Canada's supply management system. At the same time, consultations are ongoing about the compensation that will be paid under CETA. Mr. Speaker, this is an agreement that is going to drive economic prosperity in Canada for many, many years to come. That's why we've had support all across the country from every sector of our economy supporting this agreement, which is going to drive economic growth and create jobs for many years to come.
The Honourable Member for Dartmouth, Cole Harbour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives gutted Canada Post, refused to consult Canadians about it, and now they're hiding details about the bungled plan. With more than 300,000 new boxes being purchased in the U.S. and huge cuts being downloaded to municipalities, Canada Post is refusing to say how much it will cost. Mr. Speaker, with 5 million households losing service and 8,000 good jobs on the line, Canadians deserve to know. Will the minister hold Canada Post accountable and give Canadians the facts?
The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as the honourable member knows, these are the facts. The facts are that there are fewer pieces of mail being delivered now than there was in 2013. Indeed, it's 1.2 billion fewer letters being delivered. Canada Post has a responsibility to make sure that it is self-sustaining. As such, they developed a 5-point plan. And in that 5-point plan, they are executing on it in order to ensure that they will continue to give good value for taxpayer dollars.
The honourable member for Miramichi, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, today is Seal Day on the Hill, a day to recognize and help raise awareness for Canada's ethical and humane seal hunt. Can the Minister of Environment update this House on what the government is doing to stand up for sealers and the traditional values of Northerners?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank my colleague from Miramichi for that question. Today is a day to celebrate the way of life of Northerners. This includes defending the seal hunt, which is at the very heart of the economic well-being of our communities. Our government has been working with the European Union to negotiate access for Canadian Indigenous seal products to the EU market since the WTO decision of last year. The seal hunt not only provides a livelihood for our families, but it also enables Inuit to maintain their traditional way of life. Our government will continue to stand up for Northerners and all Canadians to support this important industry in Canada and abroad. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Thunder Bay, Superior North.
Mr. Speaker, we know that we need to price carbon, but we have two parties with no plan to price carbon and one party with a flawed and ineffective plan. Citizens Climate Lobby has an excellent plan to reduce both carbon and poverty. Will this government consider the carbon pricing system that is not a tax and will put money into the pockets of Canadian families? Carbon fee and dividend, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our government's record is clear. We have taken decisive action on the environment while protecting our economy. We will continue to implement a sector-by-sector regulatory approach to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We have already taken action on two of Canada's largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, the transportation sector and the electricity sector. And building on these actions, we recently announced that we will be taking actions to limit the growth of HFCs, which are the most potent and fastest-growing greenhouse gases in the world. And we are reducing emissions without damaging the economy, like the Liberals and NDP would do with a carbon tax. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Richmond Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, as dairy producers gather on the Hill, the international community has been pressuring Canada to encourage the government to water down its supply management system. The discussions are focusing more and more on agriculture as part of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The U.S. and New Zealand are being more and more demanding, as we've seen by the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, who's calling for Canada to offer up more. Will the Minister of Agriculture take this opportunity in speaking to dairy producers today to state that his government can't afford to deprive itself of supply management?
Speaker, there is no government that has done more for our farmers, for our agricultural sector than this Conservative government. Mr. Speaker, we've made it very clear that we're going to continue to promote and support our supply managed sector. That has never prevented us from concluding negotiations on a trade and economic partnership. Mr. Speaker, as we always do, we only sign agreements that are in Canada's best interest.
That concludes question period for today. I would like to draw to the attention of honourable members the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Darryl Pawlowski, Premier of Yukon. I would also like to draw to the attention of honourable members the presence in the gallery of the Honourable Peter Tuptuna, Premier of Nunavut, and the Honourable Johnny Mike, Minister of the Environment of Nunavut. Orders of the day, ordre du jour.
Resume in debate.
At third reading stage of Bill C-21, an act to control the administrative burden that regulations impose on businesses.
Order. À l'ordre. Reprise de débat.
Resuming debate.
The honourable member for Dartmouth, Cole Harbour.
Here. 8 minutes? Jeez. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to have the opportunity to rise and finish my intervention on this important bill from last week. The bill C-21, an act to control the administrative burden that regulations imposed on businesses, known as the red tape bill, is an interesting idea, an idea that's been tried by a number of governments at all levels. Especially, it comes up especially when parties are campaigning, when they go out and talk to small business people and they say, we're gonna get in there and we're gonna work to get rid of red tape. We're gonna bring your cost burden, the burden of red tape down for you, and we're gonna make a real difference. Well, Mr.